Welcome to SheTech, From Dream to Career, the podcast where we are spotlighting women who can shape the future of technology. One idea, one project, and one dream at a time. Today's guest is a perfect example of that spirit. From high school innovation project to co-founding a startup, working at one of the world's biggest tech company, and now finishing her bachelor in computer science. Her story shows how curiosity, courage, and creativity can turn early dreams into an incredible career. Let's welcome Teodora Nemes. Thank you so much for taking the time to be part of SheTech, which is basically a podcast that has as main goal showcasing women role models but also presenting different jobs in tech and what they actually mean. I want to start with also like I know that you have such an impressive journey already from high school project to being an entrepreneur and then also starting a bit working in the tech industry at AWS. How would you describe your path until now and in your own words and own perspective?
I think that the most important aspect of my journey has been my constant desire to grow and also to develop because ever since I was in secondary school, I tried to get involved in as many projects as possible in order to better understand myself and figure out which direction I want to pursue after. So I think another key element has also been consistency and also staying committed to learning and improving, but taking everything step by step. So I started by doing the computer science high school in Cluj-Napoca. After that, I decided to do a bachelor in computer science at the Technical University of Cluj-Napoca. During high school, I was also part of the startup called CyclinGo. And during my university, I had an internship at AWS in Berlin. Because I also like to travel, I decided to do an exchange semester abroad. An exchange year, actually. It started as a semester in Cork in Ireland. But after that, I decided to move to Madrid, to Polytechnica there. And now I'm just finishing university. I'm in my final year of my bachelor's, and I'm waiting to see what's next for me.
Yeah, it sounds very exciting. And as you said, consistency is always the key. I think people see it like, oh, I need to do big things, but actually it's like the small thing, doing them consistently that gets you there, basically. I know that we also went to the same high school, so I know you pretty well back then. And I remember that you were extremely passionate even there about anything technology and growth, especially. I'm curious for where that curiosity and passion for technology actually came from.
I think it all started as a butterfly effect, I would say, because when I was about to start school, my parents were looking into schools that were close to my house. And by coincidence, the closest school to my house was a computer science high school. So they just decided to enroll me there. So, of course, the school specialization didn't had any impact on my early years of school, but it has always been in the back of my mind, maybe the idea of continuing there or maybe even having a career in that field. So when I decided to go into high school, my first choice was the math and computer science program. Even though I knew very little about what computer science was, I was good at math. I like it. And also, computer science and math was the most competitive program. So that's why I chose it. And during my first year of high school, I realized that maybe computer science can also be a career for me. I really like the logical thinking behind that subject, and also I liked to develop algorithms to the point where I started to enjoy computer science more than mathematics. And soon, 1 year later, when I got enrolled into a computer science academy, I realized that computer science in high school is really different from the IT field. And that program helped me to better understand the difference between those two.
Yeah, that's extremely true. I think also for me, when I started having some experience in real world IT, I was like, this is totally different at what we're doing. Like we were doing some algorithmic exercise, so it's like good to develop how you need to think about algorithms, but actually what that's mean is a bit different path in a way or another, which I think is pretty cool because in a way or another it gives us a good base for starting in that direction. I know that also during high school you also been to Deep IT, which is Discover Your Passion in IT, which is basically a program in Cluj that is like giving you the opportunity for, I don't know exactly, 3 to 6 months, be like an intern in a company with a team and develop your own idea. I'm very curious. I know that you work on a real hardware software project back then. What impact actually did that experience have on shaping your career?
Mm, Looking back, I think that that program was probably the most impactful thing in my career and my journey because I learned so many new things. It was the first time when I truly experienced teamwork and also the first time when I took responsibility for a big project. Because until then, I had some project in school. Maybe I was working with another classmate on a presentation or something, but this was on a different level. So that was also when I discovered my interest in entrepreneurship because I was thinking that it can be something that maybe I would like to do in the future. But when I realized that I can combine it with the passion for technology, it was really rewarding to see that I could blend also the soft and the technical side. And I just fell in love with the entire process of building a product, designing everything, testing, and seeing the result of your own work. Because I had a logical way of thinking, as you said before, and building algorithms, but to actually put that into practice, it was a different thing.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. I also been part of that program, so I know that it was like one of the first time I was like, oh, this is actually how you're supposed to do it and think about it. And now going a bit into like your whole entrepreneur chapter, CyclinGo, I know it was a smart mobility startup focused on cycling safe in Cluj, especially. I'm really curious what inspired you to build that project and how everything came up together.
Yeah, so CyclinGo was born in the academy, and I was working on that project with a team of, I think we were five high school students, all of us. And uh, at the beginning of the program, we had a few brainstorming sessions to decide on what project we want to work. And everybody was advising us to just start from a problem, maybe something that it's also a problem for us. And at that time, we had a team member, and he was coming to the office by bike every time. And he was always complaining about traffic and chaos and everything. So we decided that maybe we can also do something for him and for all the cyclist community in Cluj and maybe in Romania and Europe worldwide. So this is how CyclinGo came to life. And it was a product designed to improve cyclist safety, and it took the form of an intelligent signaling vest that you can wear on your back, but we also had a mobile app for it. So it was a product, both software and hardware.
Yeah, it sounds fascinating. And I also, you said you're working in a group with peers to combine hardware, software, but also like business ideas. How do you feel about the whole working process?
Mm, as I mentioned earlier, I always like to work in environments where I could combine both technical and soft skills. And I think CyclinGo was the perfect opportunity for that because we were a small team and we all had to grow in multiple areas. We didn't had any experience with hardware before, a little bit with software, but we knew just C or Java, and that was all. And being directly involved also in the technical development helped me to better understand the product, what we are doing, to be part of the decisions, writing code, seeing the logic. And because I had that knowledge, it was easier for me to create a business plan for us. And also, it was more productive. Like I wasn't spending so much time because I had the vision of the whole project. And I think this is an incredible thing in startups.
Yeah, yeah. I think the vision and the passion is usually what actually gets idea from paper to actually making it real, and makes also the working process like you never know what time is it. You just know that you need to work on it basically, which I think is like a fun experience in a way or another. But I also know that startups are never an easy process, especially because you're still a student. So I'm wondering what were some of the main or biggest challenge you faced during this phase?
Mm, Looking back, I don't think that the time was the problem because I think in high school we had so much free time, especially because we started the project during the COVID pandemic. So for us, it was the perfect timing. But the fact that we are all beginners was both an advantage and also a challenge because, on one hand, everybody was really enthusiastic about the project, were really curious to learn things, but on the other hand, it was difficult to find the right information, and we didn't had a lot of knowledge when we started. The project was far beyond what we knew at the time, and the most important thing was to find the people that can guide us towards it. So networking and attending a lot of startup events, I think, was the most important thing at that point. And to find people that can answer our many questions about business, about hardware, about production, and everything.
Mhm. Yeah, and I know that networking cannot be the easiest thing to do because like you need to get out of your comfort zone and go there and actually put your question up there. I'm curious, how did you manage to get that courage in you to go there and put yourself up there?
First, we were online, so everything was usually on a Discord server or
Mm.
maybe on Zoom. But we were also 17, so I wasn't sure if people were actually taking us serious when we started. This was also a small problem, but I feel like when you step out of your comfort zone, this is when you are also growing the most. And I feel like it's really important to receive feedback and to know how to ask the right questions, but also finding a balance between asking questions and finding the answers by yourself. I
Yeah.
think this was the most important part, but we were just chatting with people on events, asking them questions on LinkedIn, searching for other people. And it's incredible how many opportunities arise like that. You you just talk with somebody, and if they have good intentions, probably they will just send another person that can help you if they don't know the answer to your question.
Yeah, I think that was also one of the shocking thing when I started doing my networking experience and everything was how open people are to talk about themselves and like things they already know. So it was pretty cool to see like the whole networking is like more, oh, we actually want to help each other. It's not like, why do you ask me things? So it's pretty cool to have that experience. I know that you and your team also managed to get CyclinGo in the semifinals of Innovation Labs and even to the Shark Tank Romania. I'm very curious to see how did you feel pitching to investors and like it was a big scene. I remember watching it at TV, so I know it was like a big one. So I'm curious to see how was your experience back then.
So we started the project in 2020, so COVID times, and all of our events were online. So I was used to present the project, to pitch it at innovation labs, at the academy, other events, but I was always behind the screen and I was just seeing virtual faces, and it was a little bit different. And I think Shark Tank was the first major in-person experience and by far the most experienced audience we had because those five entrepreneurs are some of the biggest in Romania. And I think the first 2 minutes of the presentation were a little bit full of nerves, I would say. But once I realized that the presentation is going well, my confidence also grew. And the most important thing was that I was really familiar with our project and I really believed in what I was saying. And we have prepared everything in advance. Like, I think practice is also a really important thing to present in front of your friends, to present in front of your parents, to try to not just learn by heart. And I think that it was an incredible experience, and also all the exposure that we had at the time. It was just great for us.
Mhm. And what do you think you learned the most from that experience?
Mm, as I said, I think that the moment gave us a lot of confidence because we were working for a couple months, and also we were investing a lot of time and energy in our project and we were believing in it. But it's really different to get validation from people that have a lot of experience. And I think that in that moment I truly understood that it's really important to have big ambitions, because if you put in the work, the results will also come later or sooner. And also meeting those people was incredible because they gave us a lot of ideas. The conversation was great. Uh, it was a really important networking event as well. So I think it was the people and also the confidence were the most important things.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. And I'm curious, where are you now with CyclinGo? What happened with the because I never heard anything more about it, so I'm curious to see where it sits right now.
Yeah, we worked on that startup for, I think, 1 more year after we went to Shark Tank. And at that point, we were in our final year of high school, most of us, and we were trying to get into university. We had a lot of exams, and we decided to put that project on hold until we have more time to invest in it, and also until we have more knowledge to develop the project. Because being also a hardware project, it was really challenging to put that on the market. And because we were dealing with safety, it's really important to deliver something that has quality and to make sure that we are not risking anybody's lives.
Yeah,
So
it's true. Like also when you're thinking about risk and safety, like the most important part is like having a product that is actually helpful, not harmful, which is a lot of like experiments and test and see what's good, what's not good. So I imagine so I'm really curious to see what will be the next steps in the future for the whole project. We'll follow along to see when the new phase of working on it will start. But until then, I do want to transition back to you being in university and also your internship at AWS. I know that you transition from this in a way or another startup life to a more studying life, let's say, because that's university and also working in a big global tech company. So I'm really curious to understand how did you feel about the whole transition and experience?
mm, I believe that this stage of my life is the perfect time to try new things and to figure out what fits me the best. Because you can do an internship only while you're a student, usually. So I was also wondering how it is to be part of such a big global tech company. And I was thinking that if they are so successful, there should be something they're doing really well. So I wanted to try the environment. And this is how I started with AWS.
Mhm. And what do you think surprised you the most about working at AWS?
I think that I was expecting them to be really structured, let's say, but I was also surprised by how many procedures are in place to ensure quality. Because working at the startup in CyclinGo, we were focusing just to have a proof of concept to deliver something really quick. But at Amazon, the attention to details and also the critical thinking are much more emphasized because we were encouraged to take time to analyze and also to make well documented decisions to ensure that everything that we deliver meets the highest standards. So I think this was the biggest difference between working at a startup and also working in a big company.
Mhm. And do you think the startup experience help you like stand out and also help you in your work environment at Amazon?
Definitely, especially the teamwork part, because even if you work in a large company like Amazon, I think that communication and also collaboration are essential. Because people are assuming that if you are going into big tech, people are just genius on software engineering, they know all the algorithms, they know how to implement everything. But big companies are also looking a lot if you can communicate well, if you can work in a team. And also having previous experiences with working in a team made, I think, made it much easier to adapt to the work environment. Also, adaptability was a really important aspect that I learned from CyclinGo because we were always facing unknown things. And I developed the ability to not fear new challenges and to quickly figure out how to find the information that I needed. Because also at Amazon, I was working with a new programming languages, with a new tool. So it was a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. And I also know that you managed to work across different areas from uni and also now AWS and also your entrepreneur phase. How do you know what's next basically? If you should like restart working on your startup or if you should like gain more experience in another big company, how do you decide what's on?
Mm, I used to have a very well defined plan. Like when I was in secondary school, I was thinking that maybe I want to go to this high school. In high school, I was thinking about this specific university. But over the past year, I think living in three different countries, I've learned to be more flexible on my plans. And of course, I have certain goals I'm working towards, but also I'm trying to make the most of any opportunities that appear along the way. And I come to appreciate the journey as much as the destination. And now I'm just open to explore multiple directions to see which one fits me the best. I plan to apply for a master's degree, but at the same time, I'm not. I'm thinking about returning maybe to entrepreneurship at some point, or maybe gaining more experience in software engineering, because also there I met some incredible people, and I think that was also the most important part about it, to work with people that were so dedicated, they were so smart, and I was learning a lot from them, from starting from the interns, going to the managers, to my team. I think you can take something from everybody. The way they speak, the way they write, the way they approach problems. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And also, it's so good to be like just open to what's next. I think I also had that specific idea that I need to have a plan. Like I had a 5 year and a 10 year plan, and you have having each small structure of what do I need to do. And of course, life is not that structure. It's like you never know what's going on. Like for example, in my plan, Uber was never there as an operation, but now I'm so grateful about that opportunity. So I think it's good to remember that sometimes you need to say yes to what's coming up in your way, even though it's not fitting in your perfect plan. But if it's helping you in your end goal, I think it's still good to just try. And I also know that you very clearly show that age doesn't necessarily define abilities. Uh, what would be your advice to young women who have big ideas and maybe doubt themselves they are too early to start on or maybe too young to be listened to?
Mm, I think that the earlier you start, the more time you will have to become what you really want to be, or to figure out what exactly you want to be. Because It might sound like a cliche, but you will never be 100% ready for something. I used to be really afraid of unknown and especially of failing at something, but I've learned that it really comes down to your mentality and your mindset, because every experience, even the difficult ones, teach you something really valuable and helps you to grow, because it's easier to prepare everything in advance and to try to anticipate, but when you actually start to do things and to try them by yourself, you will learn way more. I think also the key is to find this balance between learning and taking action, because you need to be prepared, but also don't wait too much.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think also like the idea of like failing, everyone has this mindset, I cannot fail. Maybe it's also coming from a school perspective because in schools grades are everything. You cannot fail a course or something. So I think that mindset is like in a way or another. But when you're getting into the real world, I think failure is actually the most important one because that's the only way to get to success. If you never fail, you're not getting there. I'm more than sure that you need to fail it once. And I learned that in like a very up and down perspective also in my life. And I was like, oh wow, from now on I was also celebrate that I failed because that means that you're a step closer to something good that's coming up. And looking back of your like whole journey and every moment, do you think you have had the idea that okay, yes, this is what I want to do my whole life?
I think I had multiple moments like that when I was thinking, like when I was discovering a new subject in school, and I was thinking, okay, I like biology. Maybe I want to do this. I like computer science. I like math. But I think one that comes to my mind is the day when we won the academy, but not because it wasn't about winning the competition or something. It was because we were together with the whole team. And it was a moment when we celebrated, and I I was just thinking that I standing with people, I worked really hard. And now our vision just comes to life and was validated. And that sense of fulfillment, I think, made me realize that it was something that I truly want to keep going.
Yeah, I do understand very good that feeling because it's finally like, oh, this whole work actually made sense and you see your work being appreciated, which is always so great. So I can imagine, yeah, that's a great feeling to have. And then I have one final question, which is absolutely my favorite, which is basically if you, I know you're still young, but if you could go to an even younger self of yourself, what would be one piece of advice you'll give her?
I think I tell her to just trust the process and trust all the effort that she's putting into something, because the effort that you put into yourself and into growing will definitely pay off at some point. Sometimes the results take time, but I think the opportunities will come your way and they can be surprisingly rewarding. And even if the path seems to diverge from what you were thinking originally, from your original plan, it's only because something even better is waiting at the end. For example, when I decided to do my first exchange semester abroad, I was thinking that, okay, my plan is to just go for one semester in Spain, and I couldn't go to Spain because I couldn't find similar subjects. And I went to Ireland, and it was an incredible experience. This is when I also applied for my internship at Amazon. And eventually, I went to Spain the next semester, and I spent my next summer in Berlin. And from just 3 months abroad, it turned into a whole year, an incredible experience. So I think things will just come into place at some point of your life.
Yeah, it's true. You never should rush the process because that's the fun part in the end.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time of being here. And yeah, looking forward to see what's next in your chapter because I'm definitely sure will be exciting. And yeah, we'll see you maybe another time. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you, Theo, for sharing your story, and thank you for watching until the end. Her story reminded us that there is no single path to success in technology, just passion, persistence, and the courage to keep exploring. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you follow or subscribe to the SheTech so you don't miss future episodes featuring more incredible women who are redefining what it means to work in tech. Until next time, keep dreaming big, stay curious, and remember, your journey in tech can start exactly where you are today.